Hi there, welcome back to True Gooner. And in this video here, we're going to be previewing Arsenal's season, just how we think the season is going to go, and with the squad how it is at the moment. And we're going to have a look at some aspects. Tonight, I'm joined with Kenny. Ken, how are you doing?
Hello, Sid. Nice to see you. Good
Yeah,
to hope you had a nice summer.
yeah, not bad, thanks. And welcome to Steve again, who we've seen on this channel. Hi there, Steve.
How you doing? How you doing, Ken?
How you doing, Steve? Nice. All good?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So the season is upon us. Yeah, we're back. So, first of all, what we're going to talk about is the pre-season and how we think it's gone briefly. So, I'll start with you, Steve. So, obviously, Arsenal have won 4 out of their 5 pre-season games and got 1 draw. So, how do you think it's gone? All right?
Yeah, I think it's been okay. We've obviously seen quite a few of the kids play, which is quite good. Obviously, nice to see Akpom get a 3 out of 3, which is good. Liked watching Jeff Rene play. That was good. Obviously, the dampener was obviously Gabriel in the last minute of the game against City. That was the only real downer for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they look pretty good going forward. Defensively, still a bit shaky, but then we had a lot of new faces, didn't we?
Yeah. How about you, Kenny? Ken, how have you thought this pre-season's gone? We've done well, haven't we?
Yeah, we've seen some very encouraging signs. Obviously, the most, as Steve says, the one we got to worry about was obviously the injury to Mertesacker firstly in training.
Yeah.
He's out to the new year, and Gabriel had a horrendous injury. So, because when we were watching the game, we had our hearts in the mouth because we thinking, oh no, not a bad one, because his ankle kind of twisted. And I thought immediately, that's a ruptured ligaments, and he had the oxygen mask around. Not really bad, but before that, I was very encouraged by what I was seeing. Like I said, Petr Cech. I like the idea of Petr Cech being our captain. That's excellent leadership. Obviously, we're bringing Cavola back, who we've missed immensely. That's encouraging because one guy who I've got a lot of respect for, who's on the Gooner Ramble, he calls Cavola the brain of our team. Now, a lot of you might not agree with me, but Cavola is Arsenal's best player. He is our alpha and omega. I know a lot of people like Ozil, and I like the fact that he creates a lot of assists and everything, but the player we miss more than most was Santi Cavola. He is the link between the defence and attack, and he actually feeds Ozil into those different positions. Because if you notice that when Cavola was out of the team, Ozil had to come back in, and then with his back to goal, try and create chances from a deep position. And then when he was getting into the last third, that's when the defences were convulsing him, knocking him out of games in the last third of the season. So in that respect, you notice that Owen's form kind of dwindled when the Cavola was out of the team. Paul, very pleased with him as well. Iwobi's had a good pre-season. Obviously, the worrying signs is Theo Walcott. I think he's trying too hard. He's scoring an odd goal here and there, but I think when everyone's fit, even if we don't get a striker, I think Theo Walcott will be getting less game time. So that's one thing I'll worry about. And obviously we've got the Holding, who's been eased in, but I think you and Steve think that he may be making his Premier League debut on Sunday.
Do you think
I've got a feeling he might drag Koscielny back in. Looking at him
Yeah,
training, I think he might.
Do you think that's a good idea, though, Steve?
I don't know. What would happen is he gets him back in when he's not ready, picks up a little injury, and then we're even worse position.
Well, I think much worse. I think he won't pick up an injury, but I think with Liverpool, they've had they've had a more robust pre-season than us, and they've not basically they're about a yard ahead of us in terms of pre-season. I think what will happen is you'll find with Liverpool, the way they've played in terms of the closing out, the pressing game, it's very relentless, and they're going to play a rigging. And I think playing players who are not match fit is going to count against us. So I wouldn't play Koscielny in the side at all.
Would you drag Monreal in? Would you put Monreal in?
I'll play Chambers. I'll play Chambers. I'll play
Chambers and Monreal rather than Chambers and Holding.
I'll play Holding because I think what's happening, what asked me to do is that one of the worst things you can do to a young lad is when he's playing in that, when he's actually a centre half, you're taking someone out of the defensive position who's not a centre half to play when you're ready to play.
Yeah.
So I personally think that Arsene Wenger's got no choice but to play him at centre half because down Arsenal's left, where Liverpool's strong at the right, you're going to need this conventional left back in terms of Morel, because obviously Mane, although he's going to sort of drift into the middle, he's going to be very strong down that right, and we all know what Nathaniel Klein's going to do. So I wouldn't take Morel out of there. I actually would play with conventional centre halves, no matter how inexperienced they are.
I think he'll do all right. I mean, he looks very composed. He doesn't look, scared for a kick into the side, does he? He looks really composed, and he obviously likes to play the ball. So yeah, why not? The deep end. If he shines, then it's another bonus.
And in anything at all, our first game of the season was pretty awful anyway. I mean,
it's not
I can't. I mean,
West Ham.
And one of the reasons why West Ham beat us deservedly is that they were 2 yards ahead of us because they were playing in the Europa League. So they had competitive football, better pre-season, and playing the matches they played, they had something on it, whilst we were just trying to feel our feet. And I think that's what's going to happen now. I think the temptation for Arsene Wenger is to play all these big stars who just can't get. But you can carry one player who's not match fit, but when you're talking 3 or 4, it's suicide.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. So we've also spoken about Rob Holding, one of our new signings. How about Granit Xhaka? Are you enthused by him? Do you think he'll have a good career at Arsenal? How do you reckon he'll do, Kenny Ken?
Granit Xhaka, I think what it is that he's a deep line midfielder. He's a deep line creative player. If you watch the Euros, what was happening? He was doing his best work from deep. So basically, in a way, he's a younger Cavola. Although Cavola's a better footballer at this moment in time, but he's a deep line creative midfielder who's going to feed our more creative players who play in the last third. So in that respect, we've got a very strong player. The worrying thing is that if we are playing better teams away from home, we're obviously going to pack it with 2 whole midfielders. But I do worry about where that leaves Francis Coquelin. I really do, because you look at where we are now. We've got Granit Xhaka, a deep line midfielder. We've got the power and sort of holding and attacking sense of potentially El Neni going, so he's kind of a box-to-box player in the quiet road. We've got deep in the midfielder. We've got Cavola as the brain of the team. We've got actually a very strong midfield where there is competition for places, but one's going to miss out. I think that's going to be I don't think we're going to be seeing much of Francis Coquelin in matches.
Do you not think so?
No, I think Xhaka is going to play more often than not. I think he's going to sit just in front of the back 4. He's going to spray it around. You'll have Cazorla sitting in front of him, and possibly Ramsey or El Neni, depending on the opponents. Yeah. And Coquelin will come in, on the odd game or as a first change maybe. I don't know, but I think Xhaka's going to play most games.
Yeah, and there's also Jack Wilshere, who's actually rumoured to be fully fit for this game. Where would you reckon he'll play?
You know what? That is so thinking. I was thinking of what Steve was saying. I was thinking we got Jack Wilshere as well. I mean, we
Ramsey
in terms of and Ramsey as well. In terms of midfield, our engine room is very, very strong, and for the first time in a while, we've actually got genuine variety there. Where I've got actually no worries. We've got the deep line midfielder in Xhaka, who can do his creative, can feed the sort of attacking midfielders like Ozil. We've got Ramsey could play in the Ozil position and has got an engine on the left and the right. You've got Cavola, the brain of the team. You've got El Neni, who's potentially can go from box to box if he believes in himself more. And then you've got Coquelin's holding, and then you've got Jack as well, who can actually, like I said, play in a deep line midfielder role and actually could do the Ozil position as well on quite well. So
my worry is that my worry is that he'll try and squeeze them all in the team and unbalance the side by putting Ramsey out wide on the right instead of Walcott or Chamberlain or Campbell. I mean, Campbell's did really well.
Campbell's done well.
Exactly.
But he'll end up sticking Wilshere or Ramsey on the right and or on the left even to get him in the side, and then it just unbalances the whole thing. So for me, it's either Cazorla or Ramsey, not both.
Well, I'll make you hunch it. Right, I think the biggest concern is that we've basically one of the biggest worries for Arsenal is that individually we're as good as Man United and Man City.
Of course we are.
And as good as Chelsea, and we're better than Tottenham.
Of course we are.
But what's happened is that a lot of these teams we're talking about, especially Spurs, they've got a spine. They've got a better team than us. And let's not deny it. Us finishing second place last season was a myth. It was like the biggest myth in football since the England's 5-1 win in Munich in 2001. As myths go, that's the biggest myth. As finishing second was down to rank stupidity by Tottenham Hotspur.
Definitely.
And waving the white flag when they realised they couldn't win the league. But in terms of if you look at both teams on paper and in terms of the future, Spurs have made more progress than us because they've got a spine. And I think that's one of the reasons why Arsenal fans have got a bit concerned, the majority of us, where we're saying we need a centre half and we're saying we need a striker. It's because we genuinely don't have a spine in our side. And that's one of the worrying things is that we're talking about midfield being overcrowded, and we've got a fantastic goalkeeper. We've got two great full-backs. But centre half, we need that sort of stopper, and of course in terms of centre forward, we only got Giroud, but we need to if we're going to buy a forward, we need someone who's an upgrade from Giroud, not someone who's not as good as Giroud.
Yeah, definitely.
It is. Hello.
Yeah, I lost you there. Sorry.
No, I think what I was going to say is I think that's one of the things that it is a bit concerning is that we're actually not too far from genuine success, but of course
it's the fine margins. A few years, haven't we?
And why do you think that is? And why do you think that is?
Well, the reason. Well, Steve, you go first, right?
No, I mean you're right in what you're saying. I mean the spine has been what's missing throughout the years, isn't it? I mean, you look at all the top sides; they've always had that spine, that central defensive midfield striker. We've always had one of the three, haven't we? We've either had a really good central midfield but no defence and no striker, and at the moment, potentially, we've got a good defence when they're all fit. We've got a good central midfield. We can select different players for different situations, different teams, and then you still need somebody that can stick it in the net when Ozil sticks it through. It's no good having 50 chances in 3 or 4 games and only scoring one. I mean, you look at the City game. I mean, we had, I was tweeting, we had about 4 or 5 chances to score. We missed all 4 or 5, but they had 1 chance to score and they scored.
Yeah.
And that's how often does that happen when we've got the ball, we don't score, and then they get the ball, first chances in the back of our net.
Yeah, as you saw.
That striker thing all the time. It's never going to work.
But I think what us Arsenal fans got to do, we've got to prepare ourselves for the fact that we might not get that striker. Because if Arsenal is being very specific about the sort of striker he wants, a player he wants, and he doesn't get that player, we all know that Arsene Wenger will rather walk away than go for a specific player. Like, you look at the Xhaka signing, it's clear to us now that this is a signing that's been applied on for a year or two, or maybe let's just say a year, and it got him over the line because he actually agreed personal terms with him last year, but obviously gave him last year at Mönchengladbach. But in terms of the striker, what we're going to have to prepare for is that if we don't get the striker, it doesn't mean we can't go and challenge for the title. What it does mean is that responsibility for goals have to go around the team, which means
definitely
Santi's got to contribute and Ramsey's got to contribute. But the biggest disappointment for me is that Mesut Ozil is a disappointment for me in that respect, because you've got a player who has no defensive responsibilities whatsoever, who spends a lot of his time in the last third. And now we've got Xhaka inside and Cavola. that means he doesn't have to come back further in the more advanced position to try and get the more great chances. He can spend a lot of time in the last third, which means he has to take responsibility. Because a lot of people were telling me that Ozil's world class and he's the best number 10 in the world. World class players of his ilk and the best known players in the world do contribute more goals as well. You can't just live on assists. And I think that's the problem is that we're going to need more goals from him. We can't rely on Giroud because collectively, even though Giroud went without scoring for a long time, and obviously he managed to get a hat-trick last game of the season, he scored 16 goals, league goals.
Yeah, he did.
Which means it's not bad. And on paper, if you look at the stats, it's quite good. However, he went a long time without scoring, which means where would the goals come from? Like with Iwobi now, we're going to need more goals from him. Theo Walcott, if he gets games, he scores. The Ox, 7 goals in 5 years.
Where would you play Iwobi though? I mean, obviously, Prince sort of getting goals. Where is he going? Is he going to play in the left side position instead of Alexis and put Alexis up front, or put Alexis on the right?
Play Alexis on the right.
I think with Alexis on the right, what's happened is that he can tend to be more direct rather than cutting and have a shot from the thing.
Yeah.
So, in that respect, when he was playing at Barcelona, his actual position was on the right. But because I think what coaches do nowadays, back in the day when I was a kid, if you were left-footed and you had a bit of pace, you played left wing, and if you were right-footed, vice versa, you played right wing. Yeah. But now, because you want these sort of players to actually have a goal for it, you switch them now. Left-footed players play on the right, right-footed players play on the left. They hit the box early and shoot. And I think Iwobi will invariably be playing at Sicily. Probably not going to play as much as he would like, but again, he has to be match ready. And that's one of the thing about it. You have to have players who are match ready. And like I said, as Croydon Roy used to say, good tourists, i.e., what he means by good tourists is that we don't want you sulking, blah, blah, blah. We're paying potentially 60 games next season. So we're playing 60 games next season. It means that you are going to get your fair share of games, but you have to be ready, match ready.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Just interesting, because obviously during the pre-season he was playing mainly on the left, wasn't he? He was obviously scoring and coming in and scoring. And so it'd be interesting to see where he plays him, but I'd like to see more of him, definitely.
Yeah.
You may find that he will be playing against Liverpool. It's going to be one of those things where I could see him playing against Liverpool more because he's match ready, he's match fit because of the pre-season, and most importantly, like I see, circumstances in terms of resting players would give him an opportunity in that game.
So then he's putting Alexis up front, then, yeah, and Walcott on the right.
I don't think he trusts Walcott. And I think what's happened is that the Oxys had a good pre-season system that Walcott could go on the bench. It'll be like I can't see Walcott playing.
Chamberlain or Campbell then?
I think he'll be Chamberlain. I'm not sure. For some reason is that I don't think Arsene Wenger appreciates Campbell as much as we do.
No.
Like if you looking at, there was a period from December up until February, March, where he was a regular fixture. And all of a sudden, when the players came back, he couldn't get a look in.
No. Yeah, he keeps getting pushed to the back of the queue.
Yeah, which means he's not in Wenger's thinking in terms of like what he wants to do. Perhaps maybe Arsene Wenger's looking to offload him. I'm hearing rumours that Arsene Wenger's told him that he's free to talk to other clubs.
Yeah, again, I've heard that too.
That's their rumours. But in terms of like I said, moving forward, I think the Ox would get his chance on Sunday.
Okay.
Whether the Ox takes it or not is very relative.
He's got a big season this year, hasn't he? He's got to stay fit. I think if he stays fit and gets a run of game, he might see a different Ox.
Yeah.
Because what we're doing is that when we're dissecting our the options, we're actually talking about a very strong football team, a very strong side, albeit few like a little bit in pieces which needs to be added on. Yeah, and I think that's the frustration, is that, you know, we're hearing mixed messages in terms of, you know, like I said, we can't compete with the Man Cities and blah blah. One of the things that I say to that is, there's two ways to actually go for glory. You can go by the Man City, Man United and Chelsea model and basically borrow money from your rich owners and pay the biggest wages. Or you can go through the Arsenal model, i.e. go through your means and relying on FFP. But what is the biggest fallacy for me is that a lot of Arsenal fans say we can't compete with Man City, Man United and Chelsea, but we've got two billionaires as shareholders. One of the billionaires is clearly not interested in going down that path, but we don't know about the other billionaire. Arsenal can fully afford to actually go down the Chelsea route if they wanted to, because they do have a full stadium, they do have good TV money coming through. Obviously, a new TV deal. All clubs have it as well. Plus, they've got merchandise which they're exploiting. You know, you're never going to see Arsenal play Barnet in pre-season no more. They're going to be playing Shanghai, USA, Australia,
and
Singapore last year.
Yeah. Singapore. So what they're going to do is that they're going to be making money and taking the Arsenal diaspora with them, which means because of the merchandise we get, we can actually afford to take risks in the transfer market. You know what I mean? We're not going to be another Portsmouth. We're not going to be another Rangers, and we're certainly not going to be another Leeds United. Those you can't compare those clubs. The reason why those clubs went into various debts is because they were spending beyond their means. But are you really saying a club like Arsenal is spending beyond their means?
No, I mean we've got the biggest gate receipts of any club in the Premier League.
Exactly.
So it's not as if we're skiing. I mean, back in the day when we couldn't sign players, we were letting players go because of lack of funds. That was a different story. Now that's not the case. We don't have to let players go. We can buy anybody we want at the end of the day. But we could go and buy Lewandowski and pay him 300 grand a week and whatever it would take. But we're not going to do it.
Well, I think the thing is, Steve. I think Seb, you're a bit younger. Obviously, you're a bit younger. But Steve, do you remember back in the day where Arsenal had this sort of Bank of England sort of reputation, where they've never really joined the sort of big boys market in terms of transfer. We always had that sort of stingy reputation. Like when we had George Graham, one of the things we were saying, buy George, spend money, and that's happened under George Graham. And then if you look at the situation 25 and 26 days, the same thing's happened under Wenger, where the same bugbear is Arsenal are not spending enough money. They're stingy in the transfer market. It's like history repeating itself. And I think Arsene Wenger's bought into sort of the Arsenal mentality.
Yeah,
and that our stinginess is a well-earned reputation.
Well, that's obviously not going to change then until the day when Wenger decides he wants to move on and and no new man comes in and wants to make his own mark, and then perhaps purse strings will be released a bit. Who knows?
Maybe so, but I think what's happened is that it's never been the Arsenal way to sort of spend big money on transfer fees or on big salaries. It's one of the things where they'll do it for one player, but they won't do it collectively across the board like you.
Yeah, but the thing is, the game and the market's moved on. I mean, you've got teams like West Ham spending £30 million on a player now. You've got Swansea, you've got all these teams spending millions and millions of. They don't have to sell their players. I mean, Watford turned down what was it, 25 million bid for Igalo? And it's
Troy Deeney was it?
Troy Deeney, yeah. I mean, it's even small clubs have got lots of money. So a 25 million pound pay last year is going to cost you 40 million this year. And that's just the way the game is going.
And I think you're right, Steve. And I think that's the problem we've got, is that what we're going to find, and if I'm wrong, I apologise in advance, but what you're going to find is that the domination in British clubs are going to start dominating Europe again, like they did in between 2005 and 2012, in terms of getting to the last four, getting to finals, not exactly winning them, but being part of that argument, because in terms of like the sort of riches, TV riches, are now spent on the British game. the extent that it's dwarfing the Spanish game. I mean, Real Madrid, basically walking away from this Pogba, basically bidding war says a lot. It just shows the sort of the money and power of the Premier League. I think a lot of that's got to do with Michel Platini not being about as well. I mean,
Possibly.
he was one of the biggest opponents of the Premier League's domination, and after domination in terms of like a lot of Premier League clubs were spending big money, paying the biggest wages, having the best players. Therefore, they were dominating his baby, which was the European Cup, which he clearly didn't like. It's coming.
The other problem you've got, of course, is about spending the money. People just turn and say, well, look at Leicester last year. They didn't spend a lot of money. Look what they did. And of course, then you think, well, that's another story. They've got a good team. They've got a good ethic. They went through the season pretty much with no injuries, no major injuries. And, they had a couple of goal scorers. They had a good defence who just defended. They weren't worried about wing backs and all that. They were just defend the ball and a good goalkeeper, and they won the league.
And
was that because they were so good, or because everybody else was so crap?
No, they're excellent. What it was, Steve, is that from March 2015 up until today's date, they're actually champions. They're actually championship form. They lost 4 matches between March 2015 and May 2016.
Yeah.
Lost heavily to Chelsea, twice to Arsenal, once to Liverpool. That's championship form.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's why they won the league. Another thing with him, I watched the Community Shield. I didn't see any difference. I saw enough to say that Leicester are going to be dangerous next season, with or without Conte. They've got Mendy now. If they keep Mahrez, keep Vardy, they've got pace in the Musa. So they're still going to be a very good team. However, the only way we're going to know if the trend is bucked in terms of Leicester in the league is if it happens on a regular basis. We've got right now we can only see it as one-off, because if we look over the last 12 years since we won a title, take out Leicester out of the equation, 3 teams have been constantly won a title: Man United, Chelsea, and Man City. Just 3 teams. Common denominator: spend big in the transfer market, pay the biggest wages. You know what I mean? And borrow money from billionaire owners, even Man United. So what that's telling me is that is the trend, and that is the way forward in terms of competing in the Champions League. And look at the time, Man United have been 3 Champions League finals winning 1, Chelsea being 2 winning 1, Man City finally got to that semi-final. So it's telling its story that their model is the actual way forward.
Yeah.
And we're behind.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's still time. There's still 31st of August. Still what? 3 weeks? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Who
knows?
I think Steve and Seb, I think what it's going to be. I think at the moment our priority is defender, and if that means not getting a striker, then Arsenal fans have got to ask themselves a question. Like I said, are we going to go for long-termism or short-termism? And most important thing is the defender, an experienced defender. Because regardless of what you say about Gabriel is not going to be fit.
Tell you what, I would have paid the money and got Ashley Williams.
Well,
2 seasons for Ashley Williams, that would have been great.
Absolutely. He's elite. And you know what? I would give him the captaincy. Would you give him the captaincy?
Yeah. Or not?
Would you give him the captaincy?
Yeah, I would eventually, but not as soon as you straight come in. But eventually, yeah.
The reason why I'm asking that question, right, is because one of the things that a lot of our people identify about Arsenal is a lack of leaders.
Definitely.
Now, in the European Championships, we saw a leader to extent that Gareth Bale did what he was told by this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the one getting on the handle. He was the one who was picking people up. And that's one of the things we lack at Arsenal.
Definitely.
He was playing with one arm, wasn't he? When he got injured, he just wouldn't come off the pitch. He just wanted to play on. He was playing on just as hard with one arm.
That was against Northern Ireland, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's right. And that's one of the things that is that it's.
That was a Terry Butcher moment, wasn't it? That was a Terry Butcher moment when he had the bandage around his head, wasn't it? He carried one.
Yeah, that's it against Sweden in '89, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but again, that's why I would. And he would have come cheaper, and we were looking at him a couple of years ago anyway.
Yeah, we were.
So again, it's one of those things. It's like we're putting out all that. We're talking about Mustafi, which again, the in the know saying it's well advanced. We don't know that for sure, but the in the knows know more than me and you, don't they?
Absolutely, mate. We know nothing.
We know nothing. I mean, they know a lot. I mean, the in the knows. What they do is they copy and paste. Like I said, spectacular garbage from various dubious internet sites, and then make it their own and say, oh, I can't tell you your sources. Of course you can't tell you your sources because you ain't got no sources. That's why. You know what I mean? It's one. I think that.
The thing is, we online we lap it all up, don't we? The Arsenal fans online lap it all up.
I mean,
they're all coming.
I
saw a stat, something we've been linked with 98 players. You believe it? 98 players we've been linked with?
How many of those players have we got out of 98?
2.
None of them. The ones we got were ones we weren't linked with.
Yeah.
We were linked to Jack and Rob Holding for quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean,
before he was announced, we weren't really, nobody knew about him really. Jack.
If you actually notice, right, that out of all the only time we've actually spent being in the transfer market is after the 2011-2012 season when we had disaster when we lost 8-2 to Man United, and basically what has happened after that, we went and got Mertesacker, Santos, Arteta. And that they will not. There's no way any of those three were long-term targets. We were just desperate.
No,
playing absolutely
pathetically. Panic.
Yeah. But if you look at our big signs, we've had gifts. Ozil Sanchez are gifts. I call them gifts because the reason I call those two gifts is because they were in effect mateways for the Bale and Suarez deals.
Yeah. And the same with Czech, because Courtois was coming through, so they wanted to.
Yes.
Czech.
Yeah, well, Czech wanted to stay in London, and he wanted to play in the Champions League, so it limited his options, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what's happened with Czech. I think two things why Czech was allowed to go anyway. One is because of an agreement with Abramovich, and I always suspected that Abramovich has never forgiven people like Lampard, Ashley Cole, Drogba, John Terry, Anelka for the way they undermined VS Boas. It was like obviously when VS Boas joined Chelsea, he's meant to be the new Mourinho who's going to sort of create this little bit of a dynasty. But what was happening is that he couldn't get those players to buy into it. So basically, he ended up losing his job. And I think Abramovich has never forgotten that. So if you look at all the players who defied the VS Boas, they've been, like I said, quietly got rid of. Got rid of it. And to extent that the only reason why they've been at the club is because of the fan power, because Mourinho probably asked to keep them for another year in terms of getting the message across the dressing room. But their cards were marked, in my opinion, when they defied VS Boas. But one point about Ozil and Sanchez, right? Because like we were in little rumours about them not sort of like I said, committed to longer term contracts and renegotiations because the clubs are looking to renegotiate with them. One of the things about Ozil Sanchez, what a lot of Arsenal fans got to worry about. Now, I think Sanchez is world class. I don't think Ozil is world class. He should do more. One thing we all got to worry about Arsenal fans is that they've won the league. They won league championships, cup competitions, and they won competitions with their national sides. Copa America twice for Sanchez, the World Cup for Ozil, right? The only thing missing from their locker is the Champions League.
Champions League, yeah.
Now the question you've got to ask yourself, right? If you were those two trying to renegotiate your contracts, and you're at the prime of your career, the question that I ask you, Steve, and ask you, Seb. Steve, you're Mesut Ozil. Seb, you're Alexis Sanchez. I'm going to go in your crystal balls, right? Do you generally believe that Arsenal are capable of providing you a platform to win the Champions League? Because that is the only thing. Would you stay at Arsenal knowing full well that they may not fulfill your dream winning the Champions League? That's the question that I'm asking you two, if you're Ozil or Sanchez.
I would firstly, I would say that I would wait to see what happens in this transfer window and see what the intention of the club. If the intention of the club is the same as mine in terms of I want to go for the title, then and you show me that by bringing in the right sort of players that can help you achieve that, then I'd stay. But if your ambition doesn't match my ambition, then I'm not going to stay.
Yeah.
What you said.
Obviously, at the moment, no. But like Steve said, the team and the club as a whole has to show ambition. Because I actually did a video on this not long ago about one of the problems Wenger needs to fix. It's a future thing. The club needs to show ambition about signing players, and we need ambition from the rest of the team. So the rest of the team needs to show up and actually believe that they're capable winners, winning big honours, premierships, and doing competitive in Champions Leagues. But at the moment, at this rate, I have to say no. But obviously that can change.
It can change. I think what's happening is that this is like a massive. I personally think this is Arsene Wenger's last year. I'm not hearing anything. All I'm hearing is standard thing. I do not renege on my contracts. I'm not hearing anything about extensions. So that's an other situation you've got to think about. If you're trying to sign a player and a big player with big wages, and you're trying to sell the club's ambition. If you're asking us, the first thing you're going to ask a 66-year-old manager, or 67-year-old, whatever age is, how long have you got? Are you going to be here in 2 or 3 years' time? Because that's what they used to ask Sir Alex when he used to try and sign players.
Yeah, because that can be a problem. That can be a problem again.
So that's one thing people don't really talk about, is about how long, what is the long-term plan in terms of trying to sign these players. Because, as you all know, every manager's got their own ideas. You know, last year, Man United signed Schweinsteiger, Schneiderlin. You know, they signed Memphis Depay.
Martial.
New managers come in. Martial. Mourinho's coming. Are these guys going to be part of these plans?
No, he's trying to get rid of Schweinsteiger.
Exactly. But when Van Gaal took his plans, he had a 3 or 4 year plan, didn't he?
Yeah.
This is how I'm going to play the team. This is what I'm going to do. But another manager's not going to have that plan. That's something you've got to take into consideration when you're trying to sign players.
Well, perhaps Wenger is going to get a new contract. Perhaps he's going to say to these players, well, actually, I'm actually going to be here for another couple of years after this one, so don't panic about it.
Right. He has to earn it before we can do that.
Yeah, but if he spends the money, brings the players in, and we win the league, why, that would be a good time for him to say, well, actually, now I've done it again. Thanks very much, but I've got a new contract now, so I've got to honour it.
Yeah, but I think Arsene Wenger, if Arsene Wenger doesn't leave Arsenal, and as you all know, I'm a Wenger out, and I'm not ashamed to say that, one of his biggest regret has to be his record in Europe. It has to be a regret. For someone who's got the respect of most managers across the world, with the reputation he has, the Champions League has to be something that frustrates him greatly. Has to be.
Definitely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Because when we had that Invincibles team, that was the time I really felt that was our best chance to do it.
Well, 20 attempts, we've got one semi-final.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
That's not good, is it? And most of the time, we'll say a couple of years ago when we had Monaco in the last 16, we thought happy days.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but that was down to the team. That was down to the team, just underestimating them. It was just down to them.
Yeah, we set the team up not to lose those. We lose the home games by such a margin, we can never catch it up.
Exactly. I think that's the thing with Arsenal as well, is that although we said happy days, Arsenal don't scare no one in Europe.
Yeah.
Don't scare soul.
Remember your interview when you said that.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I remember your interview when you said that to Kenny Ken, that Arsenal scared no one.
You can also argue that when Wenger, rests players for the last game of the actual league, and then we end up winning the group. We end up coming second. Who's that down to? Is that down to the team? Was that down to the manager?
That's manager's fault. That's manager's.
Yeah, but
we all know if you win the group, you get a better draw.
Definitely.
Yeah, but the thing is, what people don't seem to realise, right, is that the reason why we don't win the groups and what the reasons why we don't progress where we should be in Champions League is that away form in Europe is pitiful. It's absolutely disgraceful. I mean, it doesn't matter who we got away. We're always guaranteed to lose at least 2 out of 3 away games. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I mean, that's why we never win the groups. Is our away form, you know. And I don't know who we're going to get group now. But if we don't improve our away form in Europe, we can forget about getting anywhere in this tournament.
But we're not in the first season now, so I mean, we can easily get a Barcelona or a Madrid, can we? Or
we get
Bayern,
Munich. It's anyone who tops the group. So anyone who won.
Anyone of other champions, won't we?
Yeah. So
you know what's great with Arsenal, isn't it? Our last game in Europe is always away from home, or it has been for the last 9 years anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really and truly, that's one of the things that needs to be great improvement.
But I am very positive on the season overall. From what we've said, I'm still positive. I think we're going to have a good season.
Yeah, we've got extremely, Steve. We've got a very strong side.
Absolutely,
extremely strong team. And in terms of the midfield, it's just that spine. And one thing about football, as we all know, guys, is football's a results business. And most importantly is that, regardless of who we're playing, now we know that we got some world-class managers in terms of Klopp, Mourinho, Guardiola. Ranieri is a champion of the country.
Yes.
Spurs have got a very good start, a strong spine. West Ham cannot be underestimated.
Definitely.
So I'm talking 6 sides. So basically, what's happened is that there's no margin for error in terms of picking up points. Just saying that you can't afford to have a bad start this season.
No,
I think the thing that's going to screw us up the most is it'll be injuries again. You know, once we start.
Yes.
You know, the players that have been injured before, there's no guarantee they won't get. You know, the Wilshires, Chamberlains.
Oh, of course. Of course not.
You know, they pick up injuries and then we're suddenly struggling again. Cazorla, you know, I mean, he had a bad injury, but hopefully he's not injury prone, whereas other players are. And you just think, well, the squad's great today, but we've already lost 3 defenders.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing that worries me in terms of our injuries is that the only player that seems to be injured due to impact injuries is Jack Wilshere. All the rest of them is massive injuries.
That's the way he plays, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's a debate about training, isn't it, for that?
I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain, how many muscle injuries has the poor lad had?
Well, Ramsey. I mean, Ramsey's
muscle injuries.
Muscle injuries. Walcott.
Yeah, muscle injuries. Mertesacker, knee injury in training. That wasn't an impact injury. You know, Gabriel gets his foot stuck in the studs. You know, when he twists, but his studs are stuck in the ground where he's awkward. I mean, we're not talking about impact injuries, because I always think that impact injuries depends on what.
Well, yeah, I mean, Coquelin had an injury, didn't I? I mean, that was an impact injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's it. But apart from that, we don't seem to have impact injuries to a lot of our players. So again, the questions you need to ask is about, again, you can talk about our physio team, about our preparation, but it has to be individual. You know, like the best players in the world, not only do they rely on their training, but they're actually they have personal trainers. Ronaldo has a personal trainer because he wants to be the fittest, the best player in the world. And I think our players need to take collective responsibility for their own fitness, not relying on the club.
I was reading a lot of people were saying it's due to the fact that the amount of games they play at a very young, early age when their bodies are still developing and they're picking up these injuries at a very early age, and that's carrying through, like Gibbs, you know, Welbeck, and all played a lot of games at a very young age.
You know, we only mentioned Gibbs in terms of left back. I mean, that's how strong some parts of our squad is. in
Well, yeah,
terms of
because
like
Gibbs was like England. He was England's first choice, wasn't he, for a spell? Now he can't get in the team.
And then you've got the right backs. You know, like Debussy, who was France's first choice right back in the World Cup over Sagna. Now can't get a game for Arsenal because of the emergence of Bellerin. So we're actually talking about a very strong side in most parts. Just that, you know, like what I'm trying to say is that in terms of like the spine, we have a problem. You know what I mean? And that's something that if you are going to try and win the Champions League and win your precipitate title, that will count against us. Like, for instance, on paper, in terms of if you look at the requirements of the Champions League, Spurs look better than us in the Champions League, even though individually we've got better players than them. But as a team, they're more equipped to do better, because if you want to win the Champions League, you need to be able to defend properly. Well, they defend well now. Also, you need to have a good goal scorer. Who can score 20 or 30 goals a season. They've got that in Kane. And you need to have a strongish bench. That's something they need to develop. But you talk now about Man City with Guardiola. It's there. That the only thing they haven't got is defence. Apart from that, the midfield's extremely strong.
They're a bit worried about Hart playing, aren't they? They think about changing
Hart. Again, Hart. As I said, I did my own podcast of the Iceland game. I said one of the biggest problems that England had is that Hart was England's undisputed number one. What we didn't do in the preliminary games or the friendlies, we didn't give golfers like Frost first up or
Butland.
You know, Butland as well. But what's happened is that Hart's position was never challenged.
It's not
Hence
challenged.
the fact that never challenged, and that's why complacency gets in.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm very keen for Ospina to stay at Arsenal, because
I think he is. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Because I think what's happening is that he is more than well equipped to actually be a number one at any club in the country. The only problem we've got is that Petr Cech's one of the best goals in the world, and that's sad for a spinner. But you know, good thing about having a spinner there is that he keeps Petr Cech on his toes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in that respect, I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want competition. We don't want players who just come in to just know that their position is safe, because as soon as that starts coming, then they go down. But when actually there's competition, maybe they step up.
But my biggest worry is, guys, Mesut Ozil is a worry for me. Now I know, because if you look at Mesut Ozil, right, he's a record goal scorer, right, record signing. But if you break down what he's done over the few years, it's only, in terms of effectiveness, right, it's only from September 2015 up until February or March 2016, when he's actually justified his price tag on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
A lot of it to do with the fact he's injury free. He's got pace around him. But what my biggest worry is that if or when Mesut Ozil leaves Arsenal, another club's going to see the best of him. Because I'm not convinced that we've seen the best of him on a consistent basis over the 3 years. Now, Steve, I'll put that to you.
I would say we saw as you say, we saw the best of him for half a season last season. But I think also, obviously Giroud going through that 14 game not scoring didn't help, did it?
No, not at all.
And I think he's looking at it this season, probably thinking, well, I've got Giroud again up front. It's going to be the same situation. Plenty of chances. Is he going to convert them? Now, if he converts them, different story, isn't it? That'll bring confidence.
But in terms of
Sorry, go on.
But my biggest worry, Steve, though, is that now we've got Cavola in the side, and now we've got Xhaka to play the deep line creative midfield role. That has to free him up to
Yeah, absolutely.
get him up, and he has to get more goals for him to finally justify a price tag. And that's one of the things. But the thing we've got to worry about is like, so obviously we've got the European Championship to see how long is it going to take for them to get match fit.
Well,
You know,
the same happened after the World Cup, didn't it? It took until September, October before they were, back on song. But I think Ozil. I mean, Ozil's a giver, is not a taker. His natural game is to give the ball to somebody else. It's not to take the shot, to beat the last man, put it in. He'd rather set somebody else up, and that's just his instinct, I think. He's always looking for a release the ball, isn't he? He's always looking to release the ball. He's not looking to take the shot. You think sometimes he's in that goal scoring opportunity and he just plays the pass.
Yeah, he's looking for that final
that's
pass.
just his in his psyche, I think. One of those.
Don't
know how you're going to get that out of him, really.
Is that going to be enough to take us where we believe that we should be?
Well, as you said earlier on, if the other players can score more, then it takes the pressure off the striker. I mean, Mourinho played Chelsea with no strikers in certain games, didn't he? You want to do it all season, but if Sanchez
but all right, let's go with our instincts. We're not going to get a striker. We're going to probably get a defender, but Arsene Wenger is not going to deliver a striker. It's not going to happen, right? I genuinely believe that Lacazette won't come to the club. That probably he's going to be paid high wages at Lyon. They're in the Champions League, and they're going to say to him, Lyon are going to say to Lacazette, give me one more year. Yeah. The same thing that Morris is being asked for at Leicester. We're going to give you 120 grand a week, but give me one more year. And if you still for the same, you'll be able to leave. Which means those two are not coming to Arsenal. Now, I'm hearing Lewandowski. I can't afford him.
So he can't.
So,
Griezmann, no.
He won't come either.
So right now, come Sunday, right, it has to be about, we've got to concentrate on the football now. All the speculation and transfer. So, as far as we're concerned, we have to now think of plan B. Plan A ain't going to happen. We're not going to buy a striker. It's not going to happen. Just not, forget it. We need to go with what we have. And that's why we need collective responsibility. All the other forward last third players, including the centre forwards, in terms of getting the goals. That's the only way we're going to be able to compete with the big boys.
Definitely. To be honest with you, Ken, I think I have to agree with you there on striker. But I personally think that I just don't think it's actually Wenger's nature to buy more than one marquee signing per year, because in 2012 we got Cazorla, in 2013 we got Ozil, in 2014 we got Sanchez, in 2015 we got Cech, and now Xhaka 2016. I think you can see the pattern. So obviously I hope I'm proved wrong. Obviously I hope I'm proved wrong.
We do live in hope, but when everything's said and done, when all the arguments and tweets here and there, we have to concentrate on the football on Sunday.
Definitely, it's all about getting behind the scenes.
It's not case speculation. I'm talking about the team itself and how it's built up for the season. You know what I mean? It's no ifs and maybes. We've been down this road last year. We had this sort of wretched situation with Benzema, where
where he's still coming, isn't he?
Yeah, where people were so sure he was seen at Heathrow Airport, and then he was seen in some Malmaison in Canary Wharf here and there, and it was one of those things where the truth of the matter is that he never wanted to leave Real Madrid.
He didn't really want to. No, he didn't.
And Real Madrid didn't want to sell. So, and really and truly, if Arsene Wenger was going for him, he was never going to get it. But again, we've got all this stuff here. Who's that guy from Sky? Carve Solikol. He's coming out with all stuff on Twitter that we're close to getting Lacazette and that we're close to getting Mustafi. I wish that guy would just shut up. only comment when the deals are there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's all about, you have to actually get over the line, of course, and obviously deals can take as long as they can take, but like I've said, if
I'm
I
going
just
to have to sign off, guys. I didn't realise what the time was. Getting on a bit.
oh yeah, just before you go, let's have your
Yep.
top four and who you think will win the Prem predictions.
Well, Arsenal are going to win the league, obviously. But that's my
good
heart.
man. Good man. Mm-hmm.
My head would probably say it's going to go to Manchester, but I'm hoping that after a few games I'll be proved wrong. But that's my head. My heart says we're going to do it.
Yeah. What do you reckon the rest of the top four will be? Because it's very hard to pick this year.
I think Chelsea will squeeze in there, and I think Liverpool will miss out. And I think Leicester will probably end up 6th or 7th.
Yeah. All right.
Where's Spurs?
Pardon?
Kenny Ken, what do you
Where's Spurs?
Who?
Where do you think Spurs will finish? Who? Who are they?
Yeah, who are they? Yeah.
Right. I think Man United will win the league only because Mourinho's got more experience of this championship than Guardiola, and I think he'll clip him on experience, and he'll get an extra 15 or 20% out of those players, and get them to buy into his innings quicker than Guardiola would do. So I think with Man United, Man City, Chelsea, and Arsenal fourth.
Is that what you reckon?
Yeah. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong, but in terms of the progression and the fact that, I said the ceiling is pretty high for those three clubs. I think we're going to leave. We're going to be basically it's going to be fourth places between us, Liverpool, Tottenham.
Of course, if Lewandowski turns up at London Colney on the 31st, I'll have a different opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't know, man. Definitely no. Well, the only time that's going to happen, right? I want photographic proof.
And not some Photoshop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you in that Photoshop? You're at a beach.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say my top four predictions. I personally think the league is going to be Man City's for quite a while, just personally because, for a number of reasons, Pep Guardiola, the best manager in world football, the man who I so wanted at Arsenal, but we have to move on. I personally always said on paper that, including last season, that they on paper have the best squad in the Premier League, they have the best striker. Obviously, their defence can be vulnerable if Mangala's not there, but I personally think it'll be them. I think Man United will be second. I think there's a lot of new players in that need to bed in, so I think it'll take them a bit of time to bed in, but I think they'll be up there challenging. I think Arsenal will get top three at least. I'm quietly confident we'll get top three at least because obviously Arsenal are always there, and we actually have a settled squad. We're one of the few squads that have a settled squad, so it's a good squad. Just need to add a couple of additions in defence and striker, and I also think we do need another winger just to get more consistency. Then I think we can challenge. Then obviously fourth, I'll say Chelsea because of they haven't got Champions League football, and obviously Conte is a good manager, so I'm saying Chelsea fourth, and Liverpool and Tottenham fifth and sixth. So that's what I honestly think will happen. So yeah. So should we wrap it up there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, sorry I held you guys up.
That's fine, mate.
The only reason why I held you up because I was trying to log in from Microsoft, Internet Explorer 11, when we all know that Google Chrome's the best place to log in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next time you want to do another one, give me a shout.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, well, you know where I am anyway.
Yeah, I know where you are.
If I'm available, I'm there for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks, Kenny, Ken. Thanks, Steve, for joining us. And
No worries,
if
mate.
you enjoy the video, please give us a like and up the Arsenal.